Hi, good morning. I am Priyanka Gill. This seems to be a very weighty title behind me, but I promise you it's going to become a lot simpler. I am the co-founder of the Glamm group. I'm also, as of yesterday, I was also venture partner at Kalaari Capital. And a little bit about myself, right? So I was a digital media entrepreneur before being a digital media entrepreneur was sexy. I started something called popexo.com, and I don't know how many of you guys in this room know popexo? Anyone? Yes. Not too many. Normally, when I do this, and there are a lot more women in the room, and most women say yes at that point. So what do we have here? Do we have any brand builders in the room? Anyone who's building brands? No. Okay, we have someone there. Do we have any marketers in this room? बाकी लोग क्या कर रहे हैं आप लोग? Do we have any media sales in the room? Awesome. Okay. So look, the next session, yeah, it's going to be better. So the next session is going to be, my session is going to be relevant to all of you. Just give me a second. So yeah, so I started a digital media company before it was sexy, and my pitch was simple. There is no platform for women in India. I'm going to build one. I'll get lots of women together on my platform, and I'm going to make lots of money. So I did the first, I did the second. Doing the third was extremely hard because media is a difficult business to make money in, especially if it's digital media sales. And I'm sure that it's the unsaid kind of challenge that all of us have right now. Long story short, discovered influencer marketing, ran India's first largest influencer marketing campaign with a brand called Puma, where we got 800 would-be influencers to do the same thing at the same time online. That was interesting. Launched a platform called Plixo, which is an influencer marketing platform. Went across the boardrooms of all the corporates in India, telling them there's something called influencer marketing and you guys should invest in it. And they'll be like, yeah, okay, fine. What is influencer marketing and what is an influencer? We went around kind of trying to explain that. That was interesting. Come 2020, raised $12 million for my startup by then. Ran out of money. COVID happened. By then, we had 60 million users on popexo female, which is a really good audience to have. We had 60,000 influencers on Plixo, which is, again, a great thing to have. Went to all my kind of founder friends saying, hey, who wants this audience? Met Darpan Sangvi. He is the founder of my Glamm. Content to commerce was his passion. Content to commerce became my passion. We collectively became the Glamm group. That was that crazy year when lots of capital was available, raised $250 million, bought 10 brands across beauty, personal care, digital media, all in 1 year. And then that was a Glamm group. As of last year, I stopped being operational there. I became venture partner at Kalaari, which was also my first investor. And I wanted to discover whether I was an investor or not. I'm not an investor. As of today, I'm starting a new company, and it's going to be a brand in the brand space, but we will hear more about that later. So that's quickly about myself, right? So let's first kind of come down to a really simple thing. What is a brand? And most of us will have our version of what a brand is. But I can tell you categorically that the brand is not the product you sell. If any of us think that it's the product that you're selling, it's absolutely not the case. Because the brand is how you make your customer feel. You know, that feeling that that customer gets left behind once they interact with your product, that is basically the brand. Now, that feeling could be indifference, and then you're not building a strong brand, right? It's a promise, it's an experience. So that is basically what a good brand is. And we have to remember that a brand is always being built. Whether you do something, whether you don't do something, a brand gets built in the absence of action. A brand gets built if bad action is being taken, and a brand, of course, gets built if you actually do it correctly. Good brands get built with intention, right? Intention basically means you know what you're building, why you're building it, and why it matters to someone, and you know the feeling you want to have your customer to have. And I can promise you most brands don't know that, right? Nike does not sell shoes. What does it sell? It sells a feeling, and that feeling is just do it, right? So that's Nike. Adidas doesn't actually sell shoes. It also sells a feeling. That feeling is impossible is nothing, right? And they both are two very different feelings, and they align with two very different customer segments that are there. So because of this, storytelling becomes the ultimate unlock, right? And I've given versions of this in the past, and I don't think there's been a more relevant time to talk about it right now, like literally right now. Because it is now time for, like, it's an opportunity to build brands for India, right? I mean, we all know this, massive consumer base, not enough brands. Every niche is large, right? So if you're in this space, if you're in India right now, and if you're not a brand builder, you're actually missing out on a massive opportunity. And in this post-AI era, we are sitting on this cusp of humongous change, right? I was reading somewhere, it's almost like, imagine the world before electricity and after electricity, right? That is the kind of difference that AI has already made in our lives and will continue to make in our lives at this blistering space. But in this AI era, brands have to be built differently. And I don't know how many of us in these rooms and in rooms like this and in companies and in boardrooms are actually thinking about the impact that AI has had already and how we need to start thinking differently about how all of us do all our jobs, no matter who you are, right? And because of AI, my contention is that this experience economy is here to stay. And I say it because of AI, there's been a flattening of culture. What do I mean by that, right? Everything that we kind of see today, a lot of it is now becoming AI generated, right? And everything is beginning to look and feel and sound the same, right? I mean, you can pick any platform that you spend time on, be it Instagram or be it YouTube. Everyone has figured out the same formula, right? And earlier, human beings had to create content on that formula. It took effort, so not so much content was created. But today, you have AI agents who are doing the same, right? And because of that, we know that AI, firstly, AI does not create anything new, right? Whatever it creates, it's a composite of everything that exists. So the content that we are seeing at scale, that we will see at crazy scale, is going to be a copy of a copy of a copy, right? So a lot of kind of different things are going to happen to us as consumers when we are consuming content or buying a product, as marketers when you're trying to convince a consumer to buy your product. And all of this is literally changing because the current playbook, what is the current playbook, right? You would go onto social media, you would create an ad or you create a piece of content, get an influencer to do something, encourage them to buy your product, right? At some point, if you were able to create good content, sit through the clutter, you would get noticed, right? But all of this is going to change because the deluge of content that's coming everyone's way is going to be unfathomable. And business models have to evolve. They have to evolve in real time. They have to evolve as of yesterday. So if everything is a copy, we're looking at this kind of age of hyper-generation of AI content. Right? If you thought that you were sick and tired of seeing the same content on your feeds, brace yourself, it's going to get a lot worse, right? So in this comes an opportunity for us. It's a challenge and an opportunity as to what can we do to make the most of it. And, and to complicate the problem, algorithms today can't tell what content is, can't like accurately tell what content is AI generated. Right? And YouTube is sitting on a massive problem right now. It's being flooded by video, right? And it really can't tell whether it's human or AI. And it does not then know what to show whom. Because after a point, AI-generated content is really shallow. As I said, it's a copy of a copy of a copy. It really can't say anything new. It can only put together in permutations and combinations something that has already been said, right? So if a lot of content is coming our way, algorithms can't tell the difference. So how are we as brand builders, as marketeers, as advisors to brands and to companies, how are we going to kind of get our product to customers? This is a massive problem, and I genuinely feel that it's something that we are just not talking about. It's this ostrich head in the sand approach, but it's here. You basically do have to deal with it. What I call AI slop, right? It literally is AI slop. It's going to be the most common content out there, right? And because of that, as consumers and someone as me, who loves content, and someone as you guys who love content, we spend most of our waking moments glued to kind of this little device, which is our phone, right? It's going to kind of be a really bad experience for us, right? And this gets further complicated. And look, I'm just giving you the bad news. First, I promise you I'll get to the good news as well. So it's something called super brain rot, this kind of idea of doom scrolling, just kind of mindlessly kind of consuming content. I mean, all of that is basically how we're living right now. But it's going to get worse because of AI content that's going to kind of really just become much more of the same that we've seen, but at much larger scale. And because of this, I mean, I don't know whether you guys feel it, but I'm already feeling it. Short-form content is really unsatisfying, right? It's like having that piece of chocolate cake, which at that very moment sounds like a good idea. You take a bite, you feel good for a microsecond, you really don't feel good afterwards. You get the sugar high, you get the sugar low, and it's really kind of, so that's basically short-form content. It's like pure, like literally sugar on steroids is short-form content, and we know that's not good for you. But also to our brain, it's almost become, you eat too much sugar, you kind of get deadened by it, right? Same, and you want more and more. That's what's happening with short-form content. It's like such a low-value kind of type of content that we consume. And now that we're going to see more and more of it, and we're going to get bored by it very, very soon. And short-form content is how I made kind of my bread and butter was short-form content. We were the ones who started producing 100 videos a month back in the day in 2013, right? So I lived with short-form content, all those 5-minute videos and 2-minute videos and 10 things a girl thinks when she's putting on a lipstick. That is the content that I made on scale. And that is not going to have any value anymore because there's going to just be too much of it and users are going to get bored really quickly. And then you come to these reels, even worse, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. In that time, you are expected to grab attention, hold on to it, and sell a product, right? So the life is actually going to get very interesting and challenging. In those challenges comes opportunity. And this idea of, the hook ache. What is a hook ache? Do this, and then people will stop scrolling and they'll watch your video. Those hooks are everywhere. I'm sure you guys have seen all kind of yarn givers on Instagram trying to teach you the latest hooks that you should be using as marketers to basically sell your product. But the audience is getting bored, right? And if you do what you do, if you continue doing what you're doing, it'll progressively get bored. It's not going to buy your products. I'm coming to the solution now, which is that audiences want substance, right? And it's almost like, I have 2 kids now. They're big now, but when they were small, you let them eat too much of crap, they would start climbing walls, right? They'd enjoy it for a time, but then they'd start climbing walls, and they'd want some vegetables to go inside them, right? Audiences want substance right now. And that is basically where I see massive opportunity for us who can figure out a way to give that substance. I think long-form content is going to have its moment. And this idea of make old formats great again. A lot of us here in this room remember the time when that really great ad would come out for television, remember television? And all of us would talk about it, right? I think that's basically what's going to happen again. Movies and web series and all of those. So we as brand marketers have to conflate entertainment and long-form content and figure out a way how can we use that as modes of storytelling to sell our products. Because remember, reels are not going to do it for you. AI reels are going to kill. Other forms of short-form content that you generate will get completely snowed under by AI-generated content, and the user anyway is not going to want that. So yeah, so I think it's time to kind of look back to the past and make old formats great again. And this idea is kind of, I want to move on to the second word, this omnichannel word, right? And again, coming from someone who cut her teeth onto making D2C brands and been there, done that, got the medal for it as well. I think there was a time when people like me would sit and promise, forget shops. Who needs shops, Why do you need a store? Everything is online. The customer is spending most of her time glued to her phone. You need to get her attention on the phone and start selling to her on the phone. That was the promise of D2C. That still exists, but I think that needs to be tempered by the fact that we are living in an omnichannel world, and only building for D2C is very, very shallow, right? So idea of using storytelling, long-form content, deep content to create a cohesive universe within which your brand story can be told. Yeah, so I said brands go old school. Crafting moments of delight, right? This word delight is overused by all of us, but generally being able to craft moments of delight and kind of create seamless transition between channels. What do I mean by that? Hi, yeah. Be everywhere where she spends her time, right? Again, this is old gyan that everyone has been giving and everyone's been getting, but it can't be truer than it is today. Because that single window of opportunity that's a mobile phone, that's going to become very hard if that's your only point of access to the customer. So be everywhere where she spends her time. Literally map her life. She's on her phone, online channels. Instagram will basically become your friend. She's on Instagram, social sales will become your friend. She is seeing ads about your product that you've created, sending people to your platform. Your own platform is another channel that you basically have to go to. She's buying on Amazon, you look to marketplaces. She goes to the mall to meet a friend. You basically have modern trade out there. She's going to the local market, to the Kirana store to buy something. You have general trade out there. So you literally have to be everywhere. I feel that graduating from a world of D2C that we all live in, I think omnichannel brands are going to become the default. But remember, omnichannel is expensive. It has to be done well. Easiest way to lose money. Remember that old joke, how do you become a billionaire? How do you become a millionaire, sorry? Billionaire, buy an airline, right? So I think you can create an analogy for that kind of in the brands world as well. How do you kind of lose a lot of money? You basically are a D2C brand who tries to go omnichannel and doesn't do it well. So you've got to be careful out there, but good, bad, ugly, omnichannel is basically going to be the way to go. And it's just not enough to be present everywhere, right? You really do have to kind of, every touch point, tell the same story. The customer, as we know, expects a lot more. You just can't tell ki haan adapt bana ke dal do har jagah and kind of run the same ad everywhere. Whatever content you create has to kind of immerse her and in an experience that she will remember. Because otherwise, how will you survive? On one hand, you have so many brands trying to vie for attention. On the other, you have all kinds of kind of content that's going to drown out the content that you're going to generate. If you're not able to create an immersive world for her, you're not going to get her attention. You're not going to make money. You're not going to sell your product. Every form of kind of business that you're going to try to do that's consumer-facing is going to get extremely hard unless you remember a few keywords: immersive, experiential. Again, not as catchphrases, but literally how we're looking at building a brand building strategy and as well as kind of long-term marketing strategy. This idea of inspiring across senses. You know, all of these are really old-fashioned concepts, and some of us in this room will remember that's how products were sold back in the day. You know, it's really time to come back to that, reinvent that for kind of the AI age that we live in, because it's become even more relevant because of the AI age that we live in. See, smell, taste, touch here. All senses. Is your brand touching her kind of attention across all the senses that are out there? Immersive, intentional, consistent, memorable, right? These are the kind of words that we really need to be thinking about when you're creating any form of campaign, any form of collateral. And it really kind of becomes building for the experience economy. This experience economy is the new age economy that we are all going to be living in. Because as I kind of told you in the beginning, AI is here. AI is going to kill old ways of selling product. We have to discover new ways of doing that. And new means just looking back to the past and learning the best things from it. As I said, doom scrolling is basically really desensitized all of us as customers, right? And doom scrolling is what we do. We wake up in the morning, most of us will grab our phone, and we will just start scrolling, right? We are not paying attention to what we are scrolling. We're just kind of going one thing after the other. If you're like me, you're randomly saving things, thinking you'll come back to it, you never do. So this idea of how we engage with content is basically completely mindless, right? And that is a challenge for us. We are inundated with content. Grabbing attention is hard, retaining attention is harder. So as brand builders, we actually do have a very, very, very simple mission, right? How do we kind of build an experience that is delightful, that kind of evokes delight and recall. And I think you do that in 3 ways. The first is being consistent. Again, old-fashioned, good gyan, we all know, but really being consistent across all the different media that we are creating. Personalization, using AI properly, using AI and data properly to actually personalize her experience, because you have to kind of make her feel that she's special, and even more so today. And interactive, right? How can you actually make her want to talk back at you? Only talking at the customer is not grabbing her attention anymore. You have to get her to kind of engage back with you. Can we create formats to kind of do that? Experience economy, right? I mean, if you take one word away from today, it's going to be storytelling, it's going to be experience economy, right? I mean, really think of old things. Last year, what have we enjoyed? We actually enjoyed the immersive experiences that brands have built for us, right? Pop-ups, book clubs, running clubs, if you have that, whatever kind of is a way for you to create an offline experience, an extension of the online kind of campaigns that you want to run. And this idea of, in real life is becoming a status symbol, right? Because again, we're so deadened by what we do on our phone. I think as brands, we should really kind of accept the fact that whatever we can make her do in real life, because she wants to experience things now, right? Being passive is not something that is satisfying anymore. Before we had social media, it was exciting. When it first came, it was exciting. Oh my God. But now I think we've overdosed on it. So I think IRL is going to become really a way for you to engage, build communities, build brands for the future. Tech addiction is slowly edging out, right? Like, we do want to start spending less times on our phones. We want to start doing more things in real life. We want to engage with reality rather than be suspended in kind of this artificial world that AI is now creating for us. So I think that the best storytellers will build generational brands, and I'm hoping that all of us become really good, strong, great storytellers, because the only way to survive is going to be that. I think perspective is the superpower that we have, because that's the one thing that AI does not, right? So all of us as creatives, and we all are creative in our own way, I think our perspective is basically what is going to save us, save our brands, and save the businesses that we are all going to build. Craft your story, tell it well, tell it consistently. So the answer is actually really, really simple. And tell it in all kind of channels or in all spaces where your customer spends her time. I mean, yeah, so I hope I've scared you enough. I hope I've woken you up for this kind of early morning session on a cold Delhi day. And I feel that AI has given us massive opportunity to come and recraft the way that we are brand building, recraft the way that we are telling stories, because telling stories has never been more important than it is now. Oh, sorry. There's one more slide, but that's not there. Thank you. I'm Priyanka, and I hope you enjoyed that. And happy to take some questions if there are.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
I'm right here in front.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Yes.
that's okay. I'm sure the light is hitting you. You talked about ads becoming more immersive and interactive. Don't just talk to your customer, get them to talk back. And you also talked about taking the online events into an offline mode to get them to do that. Could you elaborate a little bit with an example on this?
Sure, sure, sure.
Thank you.
So, one-way communication is basically what we've been doing for a while, right? And most media, most advertising actually is one-way communication. And attribution is extremely hard, right? Because I mean, as much as we might say that we know attribution, how it works, it's extremely hard. And I think today, because of AI and because of kind of what my thesis is, that's the amount of content that we have out there, there's no way to meaningfully engage with the customer. So we need to kind of craft ways to do that. You asked for like a real world example. Like I'll give you, I'll give you an example kind of from my own kind of personal experience as a customer. So we know the brand Sabyasachi, yeah? So it's very hard to get media editors in a room, right? What Sabya did was he opened up his beautiful Calcutta home, invited us there to come and spend time there with him. Right? I can promise you the amount of kind of good content that we got out of that, he got out of that was a lot, right? It was beautiful. We sat down, and he sat down with us, and his cook cooked the food, his staff served the food. He really immersed us in the real world of Sabya. Right? Of course, that's on a very small format, but it was done with the right people in the room. Even if imagine that you are kind of trying to sell, there's this brand called Kind Life, right? It's a CXXO brand. It's a Kalaari investing company. Radhika Gai, who was the founder of Shop Clue, she started Kind Life. So Kind Life sells, is a platform that sells skincare products, right? And it's focusing on K-beauty. So they actually set up the K-beauty festival. They got in singers, they got in Korean food, and they really invited all their kind of the customers to be part of that experience, right? So they're selling makeup. Like, what does a K-beauty kind of a star have to do with selling makeup? But they created the K-beauty world out there. Zomato does that beautifully, you know? Zomaland. So this idea of how can a brand that's kind of selling food online in an app, why would they kind of craft this experience so customers physically come to a place and get food, right? So using IRL as a way of deepening connection and engagement with the customer, it has never been more important than it is now. So whether we look at it on large scale like Zomaland, or we look at it on a small scale, something that we used to do like back in the day in Popek. So we just I think once a month, we just invite 100 people to come to our office. Women, just come, have cupcakes with us. We talk to them, we engage with them. I can almost tell you that the genesis of Popek started because of those meetings, those kind of meetups that we'd have in the office. So as brand owners, managers, marketeers, we really have to start thinking creatively. How can we physically engage with a customer that becomes an extension of the online campaigns that we'd like to run? Yeah?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Priyanka.
Hi.
I am Sanjay Nagi. I run Market Insight Consultants. My specific question to you is, we do, like, for example, we do brand strategy, we do brand architecture. AI will also do the brand architecture.
100%.
Right? So your views on how inadequate AI would be as compared to what we would be?
You know, I think I'm a power user of AI, right? I'm in the middle of launching, as I said, a new brand, a new company right now. And earlier, I'd have a bunch of bachas who'd work with me. I'd give them tasks to do, and I'd say, okay, fine, we'll do this for me, and they'd come back, and I'd give them feedback, and they'd go back and do it again. I just do that with AI right now. If you're able to prompt it well, give it good instruction, see what it comes, and then apply your logical filter to make that content or that strategy better. That is the beauty, right? So while AI can create that first stage, the first stage of any strategy that you want, and you know, for me, like as a person, the biggest difficulty is a blank piece of paper. Uspe kya likhna hai? So that is not the problem anymore. You prompt it well, get chat or anyone to kind of give you a good framework to start with, and then start having a dialogue with it, right? And that dialogue is extremely important because it is through that dialogue that you're able to add your perspective to it. As I said, our perspective is the single most important thing, but it is the only thing that AI does not have, right? And for you as a marketing firm versus someone else as a marketing firm versus AI as a marketing firm, the only difference is going to be your experience and your perspective that's going to change the outcome, right? So I would kind of propose to you is that use AI, use it smartly, use it well, use it everywhere. It's going to save you manpower costs, it's going to save you time. But don't only kind of go with the answer that it gives you first. Engage with it to make it better and make it your own. So I think I was just reading this thing on LinkedIn again yesterday, where someone said that, this is coming out of the valley, that media agencies were never investable, right? Because it's really hard to make money as a media agency, and every kind of beginning of the month, you're out there hunting for more business. So you don't have that replicable stream of revenue that investors like to invest in your business. But AI has changed that, because of AI, you can actually become so deeply tech-enabled, and your manpower cost, your revenue is not directly linked to your manpower that you need, right? Earlier, kya hota tha? Naye campaign aate, we'd go hire more people, right? Because you needed people to execute campaigns, but you don't need that anymore. So there's now an arbitrage that AI is giving even media agencies like yourself, right? So with a limited amount of people, you can do so much more work that margin becomes yours. Earlier, that margin would go into manpower cost, right? So use AI well, don't run away from it. Understand that with AI is an opportunity, and that opportunity is only for people who are storytellers, who can add perspective, and really be first out of the door in trying to manage that. Yeah?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have room for one last question, if any. If you could raise your hands, we'll have the mic passed really quick. Any last question?
We good?
Well, looks like then we are good.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Again, I'm Priyanka Gill. Find me on LinkedIn, find me on Instagram. And at some point, I'd love to tell you about the new brand that I'm building. Thank you so much.